of you have gotten to know Nikki a little bit, but you may not know the native Chicagoan. I said that correctly. How she ended up sitting here at Valley Toastmasters every Thursday. Nikki will present the Competent Communicator Project #1, the Icebreaker. The goal of the project is to present an introductory speech that introduces yourself to fellow club members. Nikki will tell us a little bit about where she came from, the story of how she landed in Arizona, and how that experience shaped who she is today. Please join me in welcoming Nikki as she presents The Road to Arizona.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. About time that I'm up here, I think. All right, so how many of you have experienced a full-blown Midwest winter? Yeah, I suspected so, because that's probably why you're sitting here in Phoenix with me today. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about where I came from, how I ended up in Arizona, and how that shaped my life today. So let's start back in Chicago. I was born in the midst of a historic Chicago snowstorm. The Chicago Bears had a winning season, but even the snow could not allow them to win that day. It was so bad that they ended up calling the game, much to my father's chagrin. Luckily, my birth was a little bit of a pick-me-up for him that day. You would think being born in the midst of these huge snowstorms would have basically made me enjoy winter as a child, being my birthday month and all, but it did not. I will never forget my dad taking me to Bears games, of course, the big Bears fan that he was, in the midst of the winter. He would tempt me with hot chocolate. I would pull out my one-piece Bears-colored snowsuit, step on in, one piece all the way up, and trudge like the Pillsbury Doughboy across the city just to get my hot chocolate at the football game. And I'll let you know that by the time you get the hot chocolate, it's always cold. I do not enjoy winter in Chicago. So let's fast forward a bit to 2010. I have just moved back to Chicago after 4 years of going to college in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has a very temperate winter, so I've forgotten how horrible winter in Chicago can be. I've just gotten my first consulting job. It's my big girl in the city job. I'm so excited. I put my high heels on. It's my very first winter back in Chicago. Once again, trudging across the city, not so much like the Pillsbury Doughboy this time. However, it only took a couple of really bad spills running across the street when I'm jaywalking to realize that maybe high heels in Chicago winter is not great. And you know what? Chicago winter has not improved at all for me. In that second winter, now in 2012, we had another historic snowstorm, just like the one I was born into. For 3 days, it snowed, and snowed, and snowed, and snowed. On day 4, the sun was out, and the snow stopped. I marched right out to my car, and of course, my luck has it, I have a horrible, horrible cold, typical for Chicago winters and myself. So I'm out there, and I start to shovel the snow around my car. I drive this tiny little Sebring convertible, totally summer ready, not winter prepared at all, and I'm digging my car out for hours. I'm not joking when I say it took me 5 hours to dig my car out from all the snow we had. I'm not a real happy camper at this point, but when I'm done, I'm so satisfied. In Chicago, people have a tradition of marking their territory when it comes to parking spots that they've shoveled out. And they mark them with anything they can find. Whether it's their friends and family, lawn chairs, stolen construction cones, whatever you can find, you're marking your spot because you spent a lot of time digging your car out. And you're going to take that spot when you come back. So off I go. I mark my territory with my lawn chairs. I head off to the pharmacy to get some much needed cough drops. Come back about 30 minutes later. Someone has mowed down my lawn chairs, parked right on top of them, right down. I was livid. And that is how straw that broke the camel's back for me. And so I broke my lease, tied up some loose ends, packed all my stuff into my car that I could fit, and headed off for Phoenix. Had a couple of friends here, but basically didn't know anybody. When I got here, I didn't look back. But after 4 years, I have looked back. And you know what? It was hard. It was one of the toughest and most rewarding things I've done in my whole life. That split-second decision was a true test of character and strength. Living far from my family, building new relationships, letting some relationships go, it was tough. But if I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have met my best friend, I wouldn't have met my husband, I wouldn't have known the joys of the Waste Management Open, I would have never seen the beauty of cacti and mountaintops from my balcony. And I certainly wouldn't have joined all the professional organizations that have so become a part of my life and my career. The choices I've made over the last 4 years have so much shaped who I am today. If you would have asked me 5 years ago where I would be in 5 years, I certainly would not have guessed Phoenix. That said, I am so absolutely thankful for that leap of faith I took 4 years ago and began my journey to Arizona, the place I call home today. Thank you.